What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today, we're going to be doing my Manchester City, chat, really. Starting a new little series called City Chat with JSGC. So I do hope you guys do enjoy. That would be much appreciated. So, yeah, before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. That would be much appreciated. Social media links in the description. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too. Hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Do leave a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. And also don't forget as well, if you're watching this after the live stream, then do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or simply just leave your thoughts in the live chat. And it's very much a very simple process. It's City Chat, so just get your thoughts into the chat. We're just going to have a nice, good conversation, nice casual conversation about all happenings at Manchester City. So it's a big warm welcome to Ayanda for tuning in. Much appreciated. There's Jack the Ball Magnet. Siri interrupted me there. There we go. I'll take my watch off. But yeah, thank you very much to I am for tuning in. Much appreciated. We'll speak more about Jack Grealish and all the other talking points as well for you guys to look forward to very soon. So first up, I want to talk about Nottingham Forest because some big breaking news has come out today, very recently actually as well, about Nottingham Forest, and they've been deducted Premier League, which means they've now dropped into the relegation. And you guys might be wondering, why am I speaking about that when we're speaking about Manchester City? Well, as you can imagine, just like the Everton points deduction, all the talk is about Manchester City. When are Manchester City going to get their points deducted from them? When are Manchester City going to get punished for their 115 charges? So I very quickly want to address that and give some of my thoughts and opinions around that. So the basis on this is that both Everton and Nottingham Forest have been deducted points due to financial fair play breaches. Nottingham Forest deducted 4 points. Everton deducted 6 points. Everton were originally deducted 10 points from the Premier League, but an appeal saw them be deducted just 6 points rather than 10 points. And Everton, this was all over a claimed amount of just under £20 million, whereas Nottingham Forest have gone over the balance of their book by just under £35 million. So the breaches from Nottingham Forest are more severe. They're involving more money than what are yet. Nottingham Forest have been deducted less points than Everton. So make sense. So the understanding is that Nottingham Forest have been deducted 2 points less than what Everton have, because apparently Nottingham Forest, and I'm using quotation marks, apparently Nottingham Forest have cooperated with the Premier League better than what Everton have. So as a goodwill gesture, and I'm not kidding you guys, by the way, as a goodwill gesture, Nottingham Forest have been deducted 4 points and Everton have been deducted 6 points. This is all in the wake of the Premier League facing the potential of independent regulators getting involved when it comes to the day-to-day running affairs of the Premier League, and the Premier League looking like they've got basically everything in order in the league. And this contradiction that you get in between Everton and Nottingham Forest, to me, is suggesting very strongly that the Premier League simply don't have their own affairs in order. Now, these are, as far as cases can be, pretty simple and straightforward. And I say that they're simple and straightforward because they're dealing with one charge, whereas with Manchester City, you're dealing with 115 charges. So it's difficult. It's difficult to get that sorted. It's difficult for the Premier League to be able to get that in and sorted in a way that's fair, because the Premier League, they're dealing with 115 charges. It's going to take time to get 115 charges sorted. So it's I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the basis of these charges for Manchester City. Everyone's presuming that they're financially fair play based. However, there's no evidence, there's no proof that they are financially fair play based. Um, we are awaiting further clarification, and all I'm expecting from now until at least the summer is apparently we're going to get given a date on when these charges are going to be heard by the independent panels, and then we're going to await further clarification on that. I'm hoping we're going to get clarification on what these charges are going to be, what the potential punishment for these charges would be if, of course, Manchester City are found guilty and Manchester City are guilty, two very different things. And also, we want to know just how far are the Premier League willing to go with this and how far are Manchester City willing to go with this? Because whilst everybody speaks about Man City getting charged and everyone thinks that Manchester City are guilty, no one's really talking about um, just how Manchester City could be innocent as well in all of this. And if Manchester City are innocent in all of this, what do Manchester City want to do? Because there's a lot of slander out there on Manchester City's name as well, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about where do Manchester City want to go with these 115 charges, because it's very damaging to Manchester City, very damaging indeed, with all these charges coming about. Um, and it dents Manchester City's name and the achievements. There's people out there saying that what Man City achieved last season, which was a remarkable achievement, people are downplaying what Man City are achieving because of these 115 charges. And to me, I don't think that is fair on Manchester City, in particular if Man City are cleared of these charges. I don't want Manchester City just to lay down and say, right, brilliant, we've been cleared of these charges. We're now going to move on. Because as we're seeing from Nottingham Forest, as we're seeing from Everton, the campaign for independent regulators to get involved in the happenings of the Premier League, to me, has to happen. And Manchester City got the most charges, but we can cast also the biggest voice when it comes to this. And our time is coming. And I look forward to our time coming because we can put this all behind us and move on from there. And hopefully, as I said, it will mean that Manchester City will be able to go out there, clear our name, and show that we are where we want to be in the direction that we want to go in, because it's difficult to run the business, and it's this isn't just political, it's very business, um, orientated as well, and to me, football's done on the pitch. It's sport, it's a hobby that's become so much more, and it affects a lot of people, whether that be in terms of their job, whether that be in terms of their mental health, etc., etc. So it would be good to get more clarity on this. And it would be good for us to be able to push further beyond from that. And as I said, we can just put things into the past and continue to then look towards the future and push for change. Because to me, we're getting towards the end of the regulations in the Premier League, and things need to be done. And I think these Forest and Everton charges and points deductions, they're further suggesting to me anyway that change is necessary, change is needed, and to me can't come soon enough. And I'm sure that at some point Manchester City will have their turn in the spotlight as well, which a lot of people are campaigning for. And as I said, I look forward to it so that Manchester City have their opportunity to clear their name and put these allegations in the past, and we can all move forward from there, which I'm sure will make a lot of people feel a lot better. Anyway, I think that's enough chat about charges. Let's get to the live chat and see who's tuning in. We've got Abu tuning in, much appreciated. Says, I am not sure if Jack Grealish will start, so don't think so. All because of injuries. We'll see about Jack Grealish. I will speak more about Jack Grealish very soon, and Jeremy Doku and these problems that the good problems, having two good players available on that left-hand side for Manchester City, and how City can go about balancing that based on opposition. I will speak more about that very soon. Hello as well, much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. Abu says voice is cutting a little bit. I'm not too sure. Is audio all good? I rely on you guys to let me know. So do let me know the audio. Can everybody hear me? Is everything all hunky dory, as we say? It says Doku is looking a lot better than before. Looked very sharp actually for Manchester City, which was good to see at the weekend against Newcastle. Stephen, thanks for tuning in. Says JSGC, good to catch you live. Hope I've not missed too much. We've only just gone live. We've been live now for 10 minutes or so. We've just chatted about 115 charges and Nottingham Forest and the point. We've not really got into the meat yet of the live stream and speaking about Manchester City making all the talking points over the last week. MTFR TV, thank you for tuning in, much appreciated. Welcome. Also, Restless, thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Says, I love me some Doku on the ball. Restless also gives his thoughts on the charges there, saying it's BS that they should have condensed the charges to 10, 20 to make it more manageable. They haven't done for an extreme number with 115, and he reckons a dozen would make it to court of them 115. And to be honest, you're probably absolutely spot on with that. The majority of these charges will be petty little charges that will have no real effect on anything. But if the Premier League think we're guilty, then they're going to charge us with that, and then it's up to the independent panel then to see if they think Manchester City are guilty. What evidence does the Premier League have on Manchester City's guilt? What do Manchester City have in their defence, which I presume will be the same as UEFA, which Manchester City say we've got nothing to defend because we're innocent, we've got nothing to prove here, which would then be they were going on about this time barred things in the CAS with UEFA. It was all very sticky as far as I was concerned. These allegations come out, leaks come out, stuff that can't be used as evidence inside court. Where do you go from there? That's the question. We'll see. Restless all they've got is 115 charges based upon stolen emails, and that is where it is all coming from. So, it's yeah, it, when you're successful, that's all you've got. That's all you've got to go at. You've got to find something. So everybody goes to the 115 charges. They'll stick to it like glue. Right, thanks for tuning in. So that's my predictions for the quarterfinal first leg against Real Madrid. We need a result. We need something from Madrid. Hopefully not a loss. I think it'll be a pretty close game. Real Madrid will want revenge on Manchester City as well, and Real Madrid could do with a win there. So we will see. Quite a few of you guys just saying that the mic's cutting. So let me just tinker a little bit, and then I will, or you guys can let me know, is it working any better? So let's have a look and if this is working. So, is this any better? I've literally just pressed everything off. Everything looks pretty good from my end. So, is this any better? Any better? Let me know. I don't really want to continue the live stream if it's the audio's not good for you guys. Is this any better? MCFR going for a 2-2. MCFR says that's better. Is it clear? I don't just want it to be better. I want it to be clear as well for you guys. I want you to be able to hear me. I don't use StreamYard all too much. I use a system called OBS. I'm much more familiar with OBS, but I'm just trialing some stuff with StreamYard. So hopefully that's a little bit better. I can turn the volume up if it's too quiet, or if it's too loud, I can turn it down. Please just let me know, okay? Perfect. Right, seems like we're all good. That is good stuff. So apologies for the audio problems. So hopefully we can push on from there. MCFR, I did see your thing before. There you go. 1.33k subs. Love it. Do you know what? People are not appreciative enough that people say, oh, 1.33k subs. They think that it's a small number. I'll tell you right now, I know that I'm on 34,000 subscribers now, but I genuinely feel like the biggest achievement I've had on YouTube is getting between 0 and 1,000 subscribers. I think that's the most difficult part of YouTube. I think if you crack that and you get to 1,000 subscribers, people enjoy your stuff that you are doing. People want to subscribe. They want to see more. You've already got the hard work done of finding things that people like and what you like and that balance. And once you hit that point from 1K, it's plain sailing. And I think things just get easier and easier. And I always say my recommendation is don't be scared to try things, to do things that are new, that are unique. They might not work. You know your answer. They don't work. And you just keep pushing on and going from there. So there we go. my avenue that I like to go down is I don't just have the JSGC Man City stuff. I go down lots of different avenues, all my partner channels and everything that I'm sorting out, because that's stuff that I enjoy, that I try and make successful, that I try and put a lot of passion in. The amount of effort that goes into running the JSGC football channel, links in the description if you want to go and check it out, is astronomical. The content couldn't be more different over there than what it is on here. Drone flying, production value, things like that. So this is just me and my passion for Manchester City that I've had for over 20 years that I hope you guys do enjoy. So, yeah, thank you, MCFR, for tuning in. Much appreciated. Rightio. So, guys, look at that. See, it's plain sailing. Plain sailing. 100 in a week. It's a big number. 100 in a week. I'm never complaining at 100 subscribers in a week. It's absolutely fantastic. And MCFR, you're all too kind. Thank you very much for that. And that's the aim, 100,000 subscribers. So we're 34% of the way there. We've got another 66% to go. So any help towards that would be great. Jermaine, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. We're going to speak about Jack Grealish very soon. Brian, thanks for tuning in as well. Much appreciated. Thank you for letting me know, Stephen. And Raynell, thanks for tuning in as well. Much appreciated. If I have missed anybody, I do apologise. Just, leave your thoughts in the live chat. Devious, thanks for tuning in as well. Says Haaland must be benched. Foden up front with Alvarez. It's funny you should say that because I will speak about that in just one moment. So I want to speak about City's game against the against Newcastle from the weekend. Firstly, I'll apologise. I've just been very busy this weekend that I wasn't able to do a live watch along and give some of my thoughts. I've managed to check out the game for Manchester City. YouTube put the FA put on YouTube the full match. Not just the highlights, the full match. So I've managed to check that out, which is good. So I can give some of my honest thoughts on that. Firstly, not a classic. 2-0 win for Manchester City against Newcastle. It's ideal preparation for City going into that match against Arsenal in 13 days. It's a Premier League defying game, that game that we've got against Arsenal. We had a professional job to do, and that was it. You know, Manchester City didn't need to get out of second gear. There was a couple of deflected goals. It was enough to send us to the semi-final of the FA Cup. And we're at this stage of the season now where, yes, we want 10 out of 10 performances. And I will tell you, between now and the end of the season, there will be 10 out of 10 performances from Manchester City because they love this time of the year, the business end of the season. At other times, it's just about getting the job done. And right now, we don't really need to concern ourselves because it's the FA Cup about goal difference. It wasn't about Man City sending out a statement win. Every team that went through in the FA Cup didn't want to draw Manchester City, so we don't have anything to prove with the current holders. It was just about winning that game and coming out unscathed and getting some good performances, and that's exactly what managed to happen. It's a big tick, clean sheet, delighted with that. Couple of goals for Bernardo, delighted with that. We're through to the FA Cup semi-final. Job is a good one. Now, we did have the draw after the game between Manchester United and Liverpool, 4-3 to Manchester United. It was that was a crazy game, checking that out. And I've seen various different opinions. It was the lesser of two evils. I looked at there was plus sides to both them sides going out. Liverpool are a brilliant team, so Man City now are firm favourites to win the FA Cup. So from that aspect, I'm happy that United dropped not Liverpool out. From the other aspect, I never want Manchester United to win. The thought of a Manchester derby in the final again and City losing to United in an FA Cup final just makes me... it's not even worth thinking about. So hopefully Coventry can do the job on Manchester United and we can have an all sky blue Wembley. That would be brilliant. But if you wasn't aware, Manchester United have knocked out Liverpool 4-3. They go through and they've drawn Coventry, surprise, surprise, at Wembley. And I wouldn't rule out Coventry knocking out Manchester United, if I'm honest. A fantastic comeback for them. 97th and 100th minute winner for them at Molineux as they beat Wolves by 3-2. So congratulations to Coventry for going through. And then for Manchester City, we knocked out Newcastle, and our reward for that is we're going to be taking on Chelsea. We're still waiting on dates. I've not seen any dates filter through yet, or ticket information about that game at Wembley, or for the Madrid game away from home, or at home in the Champions League quarter-final either. But Manchester City have gone through, and we will face Chelsea. Chelsea knocked out Leicester 4-2. wasn't the most convincing of games, and once more we get to have another battle with Cole Palmer and City. We've drawn against Chelsea twice so far this season on a big Wembley pitch, plenty of precision and pace in there. Won't be an easy game for Manchester City straight after the Champions League second leg match against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals as well. Won't be easy, so Man City are going to need to go with a strong team. Going to need to basically play a 10 out of 10 performance there to get through to the FA Cup final. But what we do know, that T word very much still on for Manchester City. And the fact that we're going to make it out of March and still have everything where we more or less want things to be in terms of the Premier League, Champions League and FA Cup, and trying to do something that's never been done before, which is winning consecutive trebles, I think is a remarkable achievement from Manchester City. So a good win, good performance, take confidence from that and the clean sheet. We move on to that match against Arsenal now in 13 days, and we can have a little rest during the international break as well. So I want to speak about some individual players. Firstly, Bernardo Silva. I want to speak about big game players, because you don't really get a player who enjoyed bigger moments than Ilkay Gundogan, and the amount of big goals that he scored for Manchester City is absolutely phenomenal, and not having him available anymore for City means there is a spot in City's squad, not just in midfield, but for players to step up to the plate, for players to be there for us in them big moments, scoring them big goals. And people have been talking over the last few days about which player is it that's going to be that big game player, and I genuinely do think, as Restless says there, loves Bernardo Silva. I think Bernardo Silva is that player. We saw hints of it last season in some of the big games. I look towards that Real Madrid game in the second leg of the semi-final last season. Bernardo Silva was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And I think if there's any player out there, because he's versatile as well, Bernardo Silva, he is a creative player. He can create opportunities. He can play out wide. He can score goals. He can play deep. He can do everything. And I think Bernardo Silva is that big game player that City are looking for. I'm happy that Devious has said Rodri as well, because he is another player that seems to be enjoying these big moments. He will take tremendous confidence off that Champions League final goal, and being that player that can push forward into midfield and be in the right place at the right time. Everybody speaks about Gundogan's replacement. I actually think that Man City, you guys might think I'm crazy for suggesting this because of how good Rodri is in that defensive midfield role. I actually think it would be worthwhile if City can't find that alternative to Gundogan, to push Rodri further forward to be that Gundogan player and go out there and bring in another holding midfielder, because Rodri is good on the ball. He's got a good eye for goal. His long-range ability with his passing and shooting, in my opinion, is very good. I think we could get even more out of Rodri, and he could be that player as well. Makes a good point there about Phil Foden. He could be that player as well. And there's another player I want to speak about in midfield, and that's Kovacic. I was so impressed with Mateo Kovacic in that game against Liverpool. I think that could be his pivotal moment. I go back to Nathan Ake a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League quarter-final against Atletico Madrid. He didn't play particularly well for City before that game, and there was questions over Nathan Ake leaving Manchester City. He wasn't settling in. He wasn't looking, in my opinion, particularly good. He plays that game. He starts that game against Atletico Madrid in the quarter-final. He puts in a 10 out of 10 performance. He was the difference for me in that game. He helped Manchester City to keep that clean sheet in that first leg. That clean sheet was crucial in helping to send Manchester City through to the semi-final. We went out to Real Madrid, but that doesn't matter. Nathan Ake, he put in an outstanding performance, and he's gone from strength to strength since then. And I think what we saw at Anfield when Kovacic came on, the amount of control that he had in that match at Anfield, and he's got previous from his time at Chelsea. He's bossed that midfield before at Anfield for Chelsea. He was absolutely brilliant. We have got a player who can dictate the pace of a game. Big game coming up against Arsenal. Kovacic starts for me. Big game coming up against Aston Villa. Kovacic starts for me. Real Madrid, Kovacic starts for me. We need control of that midfield. You have balance and control of that midfield. City will look 10 times better at the back. And I reckon If Manchester City's players, these big game players, your Bernardos, your Fodens, your Rodris, they're allowed a little bit more freedom to be expressive and getting forward and scoring goals, you will start to see 10 out of 10 performances from Manchester City. Pep Guardiola needs to find a way of getting Kovacic to start more games. It's a difficult one. You've got De Bruyne coming back from injury, so it was easy at the weekend for Kovacic to start for Manchester City. But with De Bruyne coming back and we've got Phil Foden, do you want to utilise him through the middle? Well, to me, I start Kovacic. This is what I would do. So for that midfield against Arsenal, got to be John Stones and Rodri going in them two holding midfield spots. Leaves two available spots in midfield for City. I go for Kovacic for that control, and I go with Phil Foden to play behind the striker because he looks brilliant playing behind the striker, and you can alternate him potentially with Kevin De Bruyne. You have the option to move Kevin De Bruyne out wide. You could either play him on the right. You potentially could go on the left wing as well for Manchester City. I am going to speak about Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku. I actually think there is another option for Man City out wide, and that is either using Kevin De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva out on the left wing. I reckon what you'll see more of is De Bruyne will go into midfield and Phil Foden will drift out wide, whether that be on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, depends on if Bernardo Silva's starting. But if it was up to me, Kovacic has to start against Arsenal. He has to start against Aston Villa. Go to that match at Villa Park against Aston Villa. Man City had no control of that midfield. We were missing Rodri big time. Start Rodri as long as he's available, he's injury-free and he doesn't get himself sent off. He starts that game. You put him with Kovacic in midfield. You watch how much more control City get of that midfield. As Herbal, thanks for tuning in, says, Kovacic, he will balance out the team. It gives Rodri that support. We'll look better. We're at a point in the season now where I don't want Manchester City to be going out there, going all guns blazing and leaving ourselves wide open and exposed. Organised teams, like we saw against Manchester United, we were vulnerable on that counter-attack. So we need to be careful of that. To me, Arsenal are a far better team than what Manchester United are. We need that balance. We need that control in midfield. Kovacic, he's got to be starting. He's got to be there in midfield for Manchester City. We need that balance because we might not be on it. Erling Haaland might miss a sitter. We've seen that a few times this season. And it's okay because at the end of the day, there's 90 minutes of football to be played. And I say this all the time, as long as City score one goal, Man City should be winning these games because one goal is all it takes to win the game. It's always good and it's great to score 3, 4, 5 goals. But as I was saying, City win our games between now and the end of the season, then goal difference isn't going to be important because Liverpool, they've got it in their own hands. We need them to drop points. They either go on and win all their games, they win the Premier League, and I'll say well done to them because it's not an easy thing to go and do, or Man City put them under pressure, Liverpool slip up, and we win the Premier League. And it could be a case where we go on and win all our games 1-0. I'm not bothered. Goal difference doesn't mean a difference. It won't do any good to my heart, and obviously I want us to win 2, 3, 4 goals every single week, game after game. That would be absolutely brilliant. But sometimes you just need that balance. You need to be able to 1-0 a game. And what we've seen, I think, over the last 2 months from City is our ability to, as long as we can find that balance in midfield and cut out counter-attack opportunities, Man City can win these games. And it's all about keeping your opposition pinned in. That Real Madrid game's a perfect example of this. They have Vinicius Jr. available to them. City are always going to go with that high line, so they're always going to look vulnerable for the counter-attack. What did we do really well against Real Madrid? Well, we did one of two things very well. Number one, creating them opportunities and being clinical in front of goal. It does help. And the other thing was ensuring that there was no supply for the attacking players for a counter-attack. A counter-attack only happens when a team finds the attacker. So as long as you isolate these players out from the game, you can go with a high line and you're not going to look exposed. It's going to be a complete dominated performance. And that's what we're looking for when I suggest a 10 out of 10 performance. It's a performance we've not really seen this season. And I think if we go with Kovacic, I think we'll get a little bit more control in midfield. We start dealing better with the balls over the top. So to me, Akanji's one of the most important players here because he is a player that's more than capable. His reading of the game is excellent. And his ability to just be in the right place at the right time is very good. I thought we were seeing the best out of the Kanji last season when he was playing in that Kyle Walker role on that right-hand side. Kyle Walker's got the pace to deal with quick players, which is great. Kanji defensively has got a better awareness than Kyle Walker, so he never looks exposed because he doesn't give a player more than half a yard. He's always forcing players to turn backwards. He just sticks to them like glue. He is a brilliant man-on-man defender, Manuel Akanji, and I want to see more from him. I was impressed when we've seen him go through the middle over the last couple of weeks. I have my reservations about that, but he's looked pretty good. And as a whole, I just feel like things are just starting to slot in very nicely. And my bold prediction that I'm going to put out there now is that if City can continue to work hard, grind, and most importantly, pick up 2 wonderful results consecutive against Arsenal and Aston Villa at home, I think that's the confidence City will look for to take from, to push on and potentially win the 3 big trophies again. These next 2 games that City have got are season-defying. They're trophy-defying as far as I'm concerned. Liverpool might win every single game. We've got no control over that. We don't play Liverpool again this season. We don't see that one last dance between Klopp and Pep Guardiola. I'm pretty thankful for that as well. Just for all the hype and everything over it. Yeah, I'm happy for that now to be in the past. But City go on and win these next 2 games. I can see Manchester City having tremendous success. Might not come in the Premier League if Liverpool win every single game between now and the end of the season. Man City will have accumulated a fantastic points tally. And if we go on and win a Champions League and an FA Cup and we've pushed Liverpool all the way, we can't sit here and say that this isn't a bad season for Manchester City. It's a good season for Manchester City. So I'm hoping we can win the Premier League. As I said, out of the 3 trophies, it's the only one that's not in our hands right now. But City can win our next 2 games and get Liverpool under some kind of pressure to say, do you know what? We've negotiated 2 very difficult games. I would say that on paper, Liverpool's end of the season compared with Manchester City's end of the season, we get through our next 2 games and we navigate them and win both of them games. I would say that it's probably pretty equal between City and Liverpool. And let's not forget, one team that has a big say on this Premier League title race is Manchester United. Liverpool will be looking for revenge, but they've got to go back to Old Trafford and they've got to go and beat Manchester United. So massive pressure onto them. And if City play before Liverpool, we always go above them and we go top. And psychologically, it gets very difficult. And being able to cope and fend off a team isn't easy. And I'm hoping that Liverpool maybe might get a little bit more respect for Manchester City and realising the achievements that when they pushed us all the way, what it took from our end to fend them off, because they've got to do the same now to us. So a very big business end of the season coming up. Really looking forward to it. Should be very exciting, if nothing else. Verico, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated, my friend. Also, Stephen says, midfield 3, Kova, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, front 3, Haaland, Grealish and Foden. Invert both wingers, use Gvardiol, push Manchester City forward. I think you could be right there, my friend. I like the look of that, to be fair. It'd be good to get Erling Haaland back in amongst the games, in the goals, in the games. It would be good for Phil Foden to continue his good form. And speaking about midfield control and helping Manchester City, I think that's where Jack Grealish comes into play for Manchester City and his ability to dictate the pace of a game that you're always looking for that option. If Arsenal put City under pressure, which is what I'm expecting in that game at the Etihad, because Arsenal have got to beat Manchester City, and we've got to beat Arsenal as well. I'm expecting Arsenal to really push forward and go at City, so there'll be spells where City are under tremendous pressure, which means we need Jack Grealish to help just try and ease that pressure off Manchester City, which is why if it was up to me, I'd go with Jack Grealish on that left wing if he is fit and available for City. MCFR, thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Very kind comment. Fever, thanks for tuning in as well. Says we could always play Foden on the left and Bernardo on the right. It's potentially what City could do. It all depends on the fitness here of Kevin De Bruyne. Remember, City are going to be playing every 3 to 4 days. De Bruyne has come back from a serious injury this season. He isn't going to be playing every single game between now and the end of the season. So City, they've got to, or Pep anyway, has got to find the right balance to keep the squad happy and also determine what he thinks is the strongest team for Manchester City. And when we're getting to a point, I think that we've got to be seeing more of Kovacic as far as I'm concerned. Sleepy, thanks for tuning in. Says this season reminds us of our journey on the treble last year, and that's a good sign. It can boost your confidence. It's spot on. City has set things up very nicely now. All we need is to continue to win our games and Liverpool to slip up, and all of a sudden, Manchester City, we've been here before, we know what we need to do. Some big games coming up. I'm looking forward to them. Arsenal, Villa, Madrid, over 2 legs. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the match at Wembley against Chelsea. Looking forward to potentially getting to another FA Cup final, taking on Bayern or Arsenal in the semi-finals. Well, should be really good. Really good. Really good. I'm looking forward to it. Another player I want to speak about, Ederson or Stefan Ortega Moreno. Now, Ederson's currently injured, and Stefan Ortega Moreno once again showing his quality at the weekend for Manchester City. Everyone's saying that bad miss from Alexander Isak. Not enough people are saying what a good save that was from Stefan Ortega Moreno. What a player he is. He's far too good to be sat on that bench, isn't he? Far too good to be sat on that bench for Manchester City. And you can understand the frustration from his part and why he's potentially wanting to leave Manchester City in the summer, because he's too good to be sat on that bench. And once again, showing his quality. And if Ederson isn't fit, I have got no problem at all. In fact, I lose not one bit of sleep. I don't even overthink it. I just say Ederson's not fit, Ortega in, and I'm fine with that because he is a brilliant keeper. Absolutely fantastic. To a point that it's maybe worthwhile speaking about Man City's number 1 spot. We're not going to be facing that many shots against some of these teams coming up. And to me, in terms of shot-stopping ability, Ederson has improved in that, I think, over the last 18 months. I don't think he's as good as what Ortega Moreno is when it comes to his shot-stopping ability. The only thing that was letting Ortega Moreno down was his distribution. It wasn't anywhere near the level of Ederson. I still don't think it's near the level of Ederson. Ederson's distribution is the best in the world when it comes to goalkeepers. Better than Alisson. There, I said it. But Ortega Moreno's distribution has got a lot better. His shot-stopping ability is maintained at being a brilliant level. So, if City are going to be getting shots, I mean, my controversial call here, Arsenal are going to take that game to City and we're going to face shots. And I think I'd prefer to have Ortega Moreno in goal than Ederson right now. I don't think distribution is going to be an important matter when it comes to goalkeeping in that game. What is going to be important is Manchester City's ability to keep the ball out of the back of the net, which means you've got to go with your shot stopper. Now, if we was going up against a team that's not going to be, who's going to park a bus, you're needing a bit more creativity from your keeper, the long balls forward, and the willingness to expose a team. Ederson would help with that. If City are going to be knocking the ball and looking for complete control, Ederson, again, is a lot better at that. But there, as I said, there's going to be spells where City aren't going to have control of that game against Arsenal because Arsenal are a very good side, which means you need every single player to be absolutely on it. And Arsenal are going to have shots, which means we need to be saving them shots. And to me, I think big call, if both fit, I potentially go with Ortega Moreno. I think that would give me more confidence than what Ederson would. But as a whole, Ederson's our number 1. So if he does start, I'm going to back Ederson 100% because he is an outstanding keeper. We've got a problem here. It's a nice problem to have, but it is a problem. We've got 2 outstanding goalkeepers here who are both going to be frustrated if they're not starting in goal. So something's got to give, and I suspect in the summer it's probably going to mean that Ortega Moreno leaves Manchester City, which hurts. It does. It hurts. Anyway, we've spoken about Phil Foden. We spoke about his strongest positions. I suspect with these question marks about players out wide, I suspect we're maybe seeing him more out wide than through the middle. But I'd like to see long-term Phil Foden going through the middle a little bit more. Could save on potential money there. That who's this long-term Kevin De Bruyne replacement? Well, might already have him. His name's Phil Foden. Right. Thumbnail topic of discussion, Jeremy Doku. So I was impressed with his performance against Newcastle. Looked very lively. He's a raw product, and this is what I was speaking about when we first signed Jeremy Doku. Don't have them expectations too high with him. We knew he was lightning quick. We knew he liked to be direct. That's okay. The question was always going to be due to his age and his maturity. Is he going to be able to adapt himself to become a Pep Guardiola player? He's going to need 2 seasons at least. With his age, he's probably going to need 4 or 5 seasons before you see the very best out of Jeremy Doku. So it is going to take time, and hopefully Doku's going to give himself time to be able to do that as well. I do think he would make a really good impact for Manchester City. So this game we've got against Arsenal, I don't think I start Jeremy Doku. I was impressed with what I saw against Newcastle, and I can understand having that option. Ben White's a good player at right back for Arsenal, and he'll do his homework on Jeremy Doku. So I think it'd be within City's best interest, if fit, to go with Grealish. If he's not, I'd go with Phil Foden on the left-hand side and use Doku as an impact rather than starting him. However, against not so much the game against Aston Villa, but more against Crystal Palace, where a team's going to sit back and be a little bit deeper, I'd like to see Doku backing himself a little bit more. Show them quality. You're an attacking player. I said this about Grealish last season. He controls the pace of a game very well. Jeremy Doku is a lightning quick player, so pace of the game isn't really his forte. With his pace, his forte should be goals and assists. That's what he needs more of. That's what I would judge him on. Whereas with Jack Grealish, completely different style of winger. He's more what I call a defensive winger, a player that's going to drop deep, who's going to cut inside, who's going to find them passes, who's going to get that ball retention for Manchester City. Whereas Doku, I'm looking for them goals, I'm looking for them assists. Like with Haaland. Haaland, he had a great season last season, bagged in loads of goals, could have scored even more. This season, he's had opportunities, he's not been at his clinical best, he still sits top of the Premier League goal scoring charts. Yeah, he can score more. Yeah, we could see a little bit more from Erling Haaland, but at the end of the day, teams are adapting to Erling Haaland in the Premier League. They know that they've got to stick 2 players on him at all times to keep him quiet. So I want to see a little bit more from our other attacking players because, you know, these other attacking players start to find their feet. And all of a sudden, defenders are going to struggle in man-marking Erling Haaland out them games. And what Haaland needs to try and do between now and the end of the season, there may be times in games where he only has that one opportunity and he needs that on a consistent basis to ensure that when that one opportunity does come, he doesn't miss them and it goes into the back of the net, because that could be telling. It could be the difference between winning a Premier League and not winning a Premier League, or the difference between winning a Champions League or not winning a Champions League, or the difference between City doing the T word vibes, as MCFR TV says, or not. So we need consistent, high-quality performances. Haaland, Doku, Grealish, Alvarez, De Bruyne, etc. Everybody. As long as we're getting high-quality, consistent performances, there's no reason why City can't have every bit of success that we had last season for this season as well. Business end of the season. Really looking forward to it, guys. I tell you, I'm really looking forward to it. But for that Arsenal game, I think I'll look for the control. I said Kovacic goes in midfield, so if we're looking for that control, I think Jack Grealish got to start out wide for me, if fit as well. We've spoken about Haaland. Do we need to see a little bit more for him? We've spoken a lot about the Arsenal game as well. We know what to expect from Arsenal. It's going to be constant pressure, high pressing, high pace. City defensively got to be on it. Got to have that control in midfield, and we've got to be clinical in front of goal. And I love that early prediction from MCFR TV. I've done my Super 6 today whilst it was on my brain, and I match 3-1 Manchester City is my prediction for that game. So, yeah, that's my score prediction. Okay, guys, on to the next talking point. I want to speak about the Champions League, because I don't think enough people are speaking about just how big of a deal it is that you are seeing the 2 very best teams in Europe, in my opinion, going toe-for-toe in the quarter-final of the Champions League. In, what, three weeks' time, just over 3 weeks' time, we get to see Manchester City going toe-for-toe with one of the biggest and best in Europe, and I cannot wait, because these big games are what bring out the very best in Manchester City. Madrid will be well up for that. So will Manchester City. Both these teams have got the same mentality to win, to score goals, to be successful, and put your opponent to the sword. It will be an absolute classic, a European classic. Last season was a classic, the season before was a classic, and this season it's going to be a classic as well, and I'm ecstatic that that second leg is at the Etihad once more. Man City need to ensure when we go to Madrid, we get a good, positive result, because Real Madrid, if they don't win that game, City are firm favourites to go through. Real Madrid win that game, and it's just a narrow win. City could overturn that inside 10 minutes at the Etihad, and then it's all to play for. Real Madrid need the win first and foremost. They need something comfortable to ensure that Man City, when they return Madrid back to Fortress Etihad in the Champions League, that they've got something to work for and work towards. It's going to be a brilliant game of football. I can't wait. Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, etc. It's what it's all about. You go in the Champions League to play the best. You want to beat the best. When you lift that trophy like we did last season in June, you want to know that you've earned the way to do that. And City did that by going down the harder path. And we've got to prove it again. And it's a challenge that I am ecstatic for. I am really looking forward to that game. Should be a really good two-leg game of football. Arguably, winner of that tie potentially goes on to win the Champions League, because I fancy Madrid and City are too strong for both Arsenal and Bayern Munich. And I said in the build-up to that draw, if we were to face Real Madrid, I'd rather have them over two legs than in that final, because that final, that is where you see the very best out of Real Madrid. I want nothing to do with a final involving Real Madrid. And the same can be said for Arsenal. There's only one team left in the Champions League that's used that massive Wembley pitch, and that's Arsenal. I don't want anything to do with facing Arsenal at Wembley in a Champions League final. Give me anybody else, not Real Madrid, not Arsenal. We've got them both in our own hands to get them back to our playground. Both sides, second leg, Etihad Stadium. I think that's advantage Manchester City. We could have had an easier draw. It means you get a more difficult final. As I said, I don't want anything to do with Arsenal or Real Madrid in a final. I fancy we'll do them over two legs rather than a one-off game in the final. Give me anybody else in that final. I'm happy to go at them, including Atletico Madrid. Not ruling out Bayern, by the way, knocking out Arsenal. Wouldn't rule that out at all. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Really am. Should be really good. So yeah, in terms of the other half of the draw, I think Atletico make it past Borussia Dortmund. Bit of a banana skin there for Atletico. I think Atletico will be too strong for either PSG or Barcelona. I don't really rate PSG or Barcelona. It's like I'm taking two sides that sound like they should be really good at football, who just aren't that consistent, and I just don't think they're anywhere near as strong as some of the other teams left in the competition. So as long as Atletico Madrid turn up and play to the best of their ability, I can see nothing but Atletico Madrid getting to Wembley. And if City are to get to Wembley, I fancy playing against Atletico Madrid on that big Wembley pitch. To be honest, it's very difficult to defend so deep for 90 minutes on that pitch with the quality that Manchester City have. It might not be a classic, might not be a high-scoring game. Very reminiscent, actually, of that game between City and Inter Milan in Istanbul. But yeah, I fancy that if City can negotiate Real Madrid, I fancy that we could use that as confidence to spur us on for the rest of the season, to have tremendous success, to do potential back-to-back Champions League, which is not an easy thing to do at all. So guys, get any more questions for me? Do get them in the live chat. That would be much appreciated. Thank you very much to everybody that's tuned in so far. Adam going for an early prediction, going for a 3-1 victory for City in that match against Arsenal. MCFR TV reckons that Manchester City playing Atletico in the final. I think that's where my tendency is heading towards as well. I reckon Manchester City will take on Atletico Madrid in the final as well. That's what I'm thinking. Christian, thanks for tuning in. First leg is at Real Madrid. You are correct. First match is going to be at the Bernabeu. Should be a really good game of football. Looking forward to that. Second leg will be at the Etihad, which I think is important, having home advantage for the second leg. Always want to try and get the job done in the second leg. You want to be playing in front of your own fans. Just thanks for tuning in, much appreciated. Says, can we say Jeremy did very well playing out from the middle in the last game? Doku had a brilliant game, absolutely brilliant game. He should be using that as confidence now to push forward. I wouldn't start him against Arsenal, because Arsenal and how they play is very different to how we play against Newcastle. I don't want any vulnerabilities through the middle. I don't want any vulnerabilities out wide either. If Man City need Jeremy Doku, I'd rather bring him off the bench and let him make an impact and run at some tired Arsenal legs if we need him to. That's what I would be going for. MCFR TV, we don't want to be facing Ilkay Gundogan. We love Silky Ilky. We don't want to be facing him. I'm not too sure they get through PSG, if I'm being honest. And João Cancelo scoring the winner against us. Can he play against us? I don't think he can play against us. Although, Champions League is different. He might be able to play against us, actually. No thanks. Don't want that either. As I said, I can see PSG doing the job, and I can see Atletico Madrid doing the job on Borussia Dortmund, and Atletico doing the job on either Barcelona or PSG in the semi-final. But, anything can happen. It's football. We know that. Everybody else knows that. It's what we look forward to now, this final push in the end of the season, the business end of the season. So it should be a very exciting conclusion for Manchester City, and fingers crossed we can have a lot of success come the end of the season as well. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning. Much appreciated. Don't forget, leave your thoughts in the live chat whilst we're still live for another minute or so. If you've got any more questions, do also leave your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this after the stream. Also, don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget as well to subscribe. If you're new around here, press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. An email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. MCFR TV, thank you very much for your kind comment there, and thanks for tuning in. Just says, with Jack is a man who knows how to draw a foul. I'd rather be seeing him once he is fit and good to go. You're spot on. It is all about finding that right balance. The same can be said with Ederson and De Bruyne. All injured right now. And what you don't want to do is rush them back and then them end up having a 3-4 week injury, or they end up just taking a knock and then being out for 3-4 weeks when we hit the real important stages. You know, if City make it your semi-finals and your final of the Champions League, your semi-final and your finals of the FA Cup, and your last few remaining games in the Premier League, where the pressure and the importance of these games just goes through the roof. But I won't have it any other way. Should be good. Should be good. Jason, thanks for tuning in as well. Much appreciated. And Jason is an absolutely fantastic name. Right, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, then do let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can go about doing some more of these. I did do some of these back in the summer when I was speaking all things transfers, so I thought it'd be good to be able to hop onto the live stream and talk about all things happening in Manchester City's season so far. If this is something that you did enjoy, then do let me know in the live chat or in the comment. And well, we love it, don't we? We love it. Great name. Thank you very much. They will be back, by the way, this summer as well, with all the transfer stuff for you guys to enjoy. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and I'll see you all real soon. So I've been JSGC. Take it easy. Peace. Ciao for now.